I said, what just happened just then? And he looked at me and just said, what do you expect when you've got a dictator running the country?
The continued incarceration of Lucy Connolly, a distraught housewife and grieving mother who posted on X impulsively after the Southport massacre, tapping into her own experience of seeing her 19-month-old son killed by the state, shames Britain. We are a two-tier authoritarian state where free speech is completely dependent on your political position. Sorry, but there are a lot of political prisoners too that I'm going to be talking about today. We are a two-tier authoritarian state where independent journalism can be forced offline by the state after 7 months in solitary confinement in the case of Tommy Robinson, who was finally freed today, but only after he deleted silence from the internet altogether. And both these cases make an absolute mockery of Slippery Starmer's blatant lie to JD Vance, the US Vice President in the Oval Office, claiming we have free speech in Britain.
There have been infringements on free speech that actually affect not just the British, of course, what the British do in their own country is up to them, but also affect American technology companies and by extension American citizens. So that is something that we'll talk about today at lunch.
We've had free speech for a very, very long time in the United Kingdom, and it will last for a very, very long time. Well, no, I mean, certainly we wouldn't want to reach across US citizens, and we don't, and that's absolutely right. But in relation to free speech in the UK, I'm very proud of our.
Bullshit, Starmer. You are a disgusting liar. You demanded these insane sentences. You interfered in the judicial process to try and terrify the population into silence after the slaughter of 3 beautiful young girls at a Taylor Swift dance class by an Islamist. And now you are quite rightly being shamed across the globe. Let's just take this in for a moment. After Lucy learned the news this morning, she cried, along with the prison officers who were stunned at the decision because they too know the real Lucy. But she made clear that her tears were not for her, but for her daughter, whose suffering from their ongoing separation cannot be put into words. After a campaign we started here on Outspoken many months ago to free Lucy Connolly and the other political prisoners who I haven't forgotten, by the way, the MSM has finally woken up to realise that this is a genuine story.
Some breaking news to bring you now from the Court of Appeal, and a woman called Lucy Connolly, who is the wife of a Conservative councillor from Northamptonshire, has lost an appeal to have her prison sentence of 31 months reduced. Lucy Connolly, who posted onto social media calling for the mass deportation of asylum seekers staying in a hotel following the Southport attack in which 3 young children were killed and many children injured, has lost that appeal to have her sentence reduced for the tweet that she put out on social media on X.
Some breaking news now from the Court of Appeal, and the wife of a Conservative councillor who had appealed against her 31-month prison sentence for inciting racial hatred online has had her appeal dismissed today. This is Lucy Connolly, who posted those comments after the Southport attacks in which 3 little girls were stabbed and died at a holiday club. She said to the Court of Appeal a few days ago that she had never intended to incite violence, and she had been calling in July last year for mass deportation now, and urged her followers to set fire to hotels housing asylum seekers after that nationwide unrest sparked by the stabbings in Southport. Well, Lucy Connolly from Northampton has today lost her bid against her prison sentence.
Lucy Connolly, the wife of a Conservative councillor, has had a bid to appeal against her 31-month prison sentence for inciting racial hatred online after those Southport attacks. That has been dismissed in the last few minutes by the Court of Appeal.
And of course, within minutes, GB News had a lefty insisting that black is white, Lucy Connolly is not a political prisoner and she deserves to stay behind bars when the BBC's prolific paedophile Hugh Edwards didn't spend a day in jail.
Lucy Connolly is a political prisoner for
No, she's
what?
not.
Yes, she is. And
She's a criminal who was sent to jail for a reason.
There is absolutely no justification or benefit to society of separating a mother from a child. If you wanted to punish her, put a tag on her leg and make her go and work with a local mosque to learn about other cultures and people, if that's what you wanted to.
Luckily, outside the uni party and legacy media, some brave figures are starting to join us and campaign on these issues, like the unshackled former Reform UK MP Rupert Lowe.
I've just heard the news that Lucy Connolly is not going to be released from prison. This seems to be an extraordinary decision. A young mother with young children, with a family, being held in custody for an ill-advised tweet, which she deleted. So my view is, when is the legal system going to be driven by common sense? When is it going to look at logic? And when is it going to release Lucy Connolly?
There's also the brave Daily Telegraph columnist Alison Pearson. We have launched a crowdfunder for Lucy together with Democracy 3 and the great British public, and actually so many of you from around the world. God bless you. You have already raised £85,000, a figure that is rising every moment, to help Lucy rebuild her life when she is finally released from this truly barbaric 31-month sentence. And I hope Katie Hopkins is right when she says Lucy Connolly will be the start of a storm to engulf our troubled United Kingdom and sweep away this dystopian regime. Katie posted, "Well done, Alison Pearson. Well done, Dan Wootton. Well done, decent people of Great Britain. You hang on in there, Lucy Connolly, lovely. You are not suffering in vain. The nation is watching. The storm awaits." And when James McCafferty asked her, amen to that, Katie, and wouldn't it be great if enough was raised to prepare a case against this mysterious judge? Not sure if that's even possible under UK law, but it should be. Katie responded, no. Our restitution is not coming from the law or any of the institutions, but it is coming. The people are rising. And my God, we need to. As Toby Young of the Free Speech Union pointed out today, how can it be right for Lucy to have been condemned to spend more than 2.5 years in jail for a single tweet when members of grooming gangs who plead guilty to the sexual exploitation of children get lower sentences? Lucy should be at home with her 12-year-old daughter and husband, not rotting in jail. Christian Calgi added, "This is disgraceful. There are rapists and violent criminals walking free from court and a prison capacity crisis. This is purely politically motivated and a gross miscarriage of justice." And my friend and former colleague Colin Brazier put it perfectly, surmising the continued incarceration of Lucy Connolly feels like another punctuation mark in the story of Britain's slide towards authoritarianism. Her ongoing punishment is out of all proportion with her crime and smacks of a state-sanctioned punishment beating. Now, we're going to be joined in just 1 minute by Lucy Connolly's husband, Raymond, for an exclusive interview. But before we are, I wanted to read out some of his very powerful statement today. Raymond wrote, "Lucy's appeal was not upheld by the Court of Appeal. It feels shocking and unfair. The 284 days of separation have been very hard, particularly on our 12-year-old girl. Lucy posted one nasty tweet when she was upset and angry about 3 little girls who were brutally murdered in Southport. She realised the tweet was wrong and deleted it within 4 hours. That did not mean Lucy was a, quote, far-right thug, as Prime Minister Keir Starmer claimed. My wife Lucy is a good person and not a racist. As a childminder, she took care of small children of African and Asian heritage. They loved Lucy as she loved them. My wife has paid a very high price for making a mistake, and today the court has shown her no mercy. Lucy got more time in jail for one tweet than some paedophiles and domestic abusers get. I think the system wanted to make an example of Lucy so other people would be scared to say things about immigration. This is not the British way. Justice Secretary Shabana Mahmood says she will release 40,000 prisoners, some of them dangerous men, on tag. Lucy has not been allowed out on tag, and she has been denied leave to see our child who is struggling. Today, the court had the opportunity to reduce her cruelly long and disproportionate sentence, but they refused. That feels like two-tier justice. The British people know all of this is not right. They have given an amazing £81,000 so far to Lucy's crowdfunder. Despite today's upsetting setback, Lucy gets courage from everyone's kind support. Lucy and me are so grateful to our fantastic legal team led by Adam King KC and to the Free Speech Union for their incredible support, and to Democracy 3 who ran our crowdfunder free of charge. We also thank Alison Pearson of the Daily Telegraph and Dan Wootton of Outspoken. Thank you so much, Ray, for telling people about the real Lucy Connolly. I also want to thank our family, our brilliant friends who rallied around, and the thousands of strangers who sent emails and cards of support since the nightmare began last July. We will continue to pursue every possible avenue to seek justice and to bring Lucy home to us. And Raymond Connolly, the author of that powerful statement, joins me now on the Superstar panel alongside Ezra Levant, the boss of Rebel News, who flew from Canada to be at the High Court today for the Tommy Robinson decision, and the editor of Conservative Woman, Cathy Gyngell. But first, you know I never recommend anything on this show unless I truly believe in it. Today, I've got something absolutely game-changing for you. Have you ever stopped to think about how crucial comfort is down there? Well, let me tell you, today's Outspoken proudly sponsored by Sheath Underwear, the revolutionary brand shaking up men's comfort across the globe. And here's what makes Sheath even better. It was founded by a US Army veteran, Robert Patton, while he was serving in Iraq back in 2007. So that's right, this isn't just any underwear brand, it was designed for the toughest conditions imaginable. Patton was battling relentless heat and discomfort in full combat gear, and he thought there has to be a better way, so he created it. And let's be honest, traditional underwear just doesn't cut it anymore. Sheath's innovative dual pouch design ensures your comfort all day long, keeping things separate, cool and fresh. Imagine your essentials being comfortably cradled away from unwanted friction and heat. Trust me, it is genuinely transformative. I've tested it at the gym, on long days at work, even just relaxing at home. And I'm telling you, once you've experienced Sheath, there's simply no going back. They're stylish, they're supportive, and they deliver unmatched comfort. It's like upgrading from economy to first class, but for your underwear. Right now, I'm offering you an exclusive 20% discount at www.sheath.com. Yes, that's 20% off your entire order when you use my special promo code Outspoken at checkout. So what are you waiting for? Sheath, by the way, ladies, also the perfect present for your husband, your boyfriend, your son, your brother, or hard to buy for best mate. And while you are there, check this out. There are female versions available too, which you can see here alongside the brilliant boss of the UFC, because Sheath is the first official underwear of that brilliant sport. So click the link below, enter Outspoken at checkout, go to www.sheath.com and thank me later when you're feeling comfortable, confident and ready to tackle anything your day throws at you. Sheath underwear, redefining comfort one pair at a time. But now, back to the show. Okay, Raymond, how did Lucy hear this news today? And what sort of state was she in?
Well, she rang me up and she asked me, did I hear any news? And I said, obviously, I just spoke to Adam and he told me it hadn't gone our way. And she was upset and annoyed. And I just said to her, goes, look, just calm down, take it in, and I'll get back to you. Ring me up in about an hour and then we'll have a proper chat with you, because obviously it would have been a bit not the stuffing out of her, it did.
And there were some tears.
Oh yeah. Through the day that happened, because obviously the prison officers came and they were supporting her as well, because they thought she was definitely going to be going, and even the governor started running around sorting out stuff for Lucy. So the prison staff were really good, and that kind of upset Lucy a little bit, because some of them were a little bit, independent, and they kind of like really got involved with Lucy for the first time today, and that probably just took Lucy over the edge a little bit and probably upset her quite a bit.
And your daughter, Raymond, did she know? Was she told that there was a possibility her mummy was going to be coming home?
Well, yeah, I said she kept asking me every day when is mum getting a letter, and I said, well, we'll just have to wait. But obviously, she's just left school at the moment, and she's gone to a friend's house. So I don't know how I'm going to tell her this, but I'll speak to Lucy's mum, and we'll see how we go about it.
And how are you coping?
I was gutted. I walked the dog, and I was a bit angry, and I thought, oh, I didn't want, to be that way. And I just started thinking about this journey, how it all started. Started with. I remember at Northampton and Lucy pleading guilty, and Lucy was on video link, and the judge glared into Lucy into the video screen and said, report to prison officers and get on the prison van, and do not be thinking that you won't be getting a lengthy sentence. Which I found was strange because, she was right next to the prison cell in a video room, so she weren't getting on no prison van. So, but I thought, oh, who's she playing to? But then I went into the corridor, and I went into the advocates' chambers, and I went in there, and the advocates there, and I said to him, he's there with his wig on and his black gown, and I said, what just happened just then? And he looked at me and just said, what do you expect when you've got a dictator running the country? So that's where the journey started, and 9 months later, we're here again.
She is a political prisoner without any doubt, and there is huge fury. Raymond Connolly today being addressed at Nigel Nelson of GB News, who claimed that your wife is not a political prisoner. I just want to show you what happened so that you can respond, Raymond.
Can you defend this judge's decision to keep Lucy Connolly's sentence, if people are just tuning in, at 2.5 years for an angry social media post?
Yes. I think that the people have to understand that a crime committed online is the same as a crime committed in the real world.
So do you think it's just as bad to punch someone in the face as it is to write, you can burn all these hotels down for all I care?
Well, that's like saying, are robbery and burglary the same? No, they're not. If she had shouted that tweet out in the street, the same thing would have happened. And I do think that the sentence was harsh to make an example of her, and also to send the message.
Too harsh?
Well, not too harsh in the sense you were making an example of her. So it was an exemplary sentence, deliberately so.
That's a political. That is literally lawful.
No, it's a legal judgment. That so the judge gave an exemplary sentence to send the message as a deterrent to other people tempted to do the same thing.
If that was
Raymond, what would be your response to Nigel Nelson?
Obviously, it's been a strange journey for me. I felt Lucy's sentence was very disproportionate to other people's, but what would I say to him? There's a lot of things have happened on this 9 months, to the point as whereas the governor at Lucy's prison, one of them, said that she doesn't want to speak to Lucia no more about Rottles, etc., because she's fed up of having to tell her no. So there's a lot of strange carryings on. So I totally disagree with that guy.
She is absolutely being made an example of by the state, and it is very grim. Okay, Raymond, stand by, because I want to bring Kathy Gyngell and Ezra Levant in now. Kathy, where do we start with this? What does this decision say about the state of the United Kingdom?
It says we've become a very unempathic, very censorious, very authoritarian and very cruel country. Not all the inhabitants of it, but the people who are leading it, and many people in the establishment. What is extraordinary, back in 2006, Baroness Corston produced a report on women in prisons, which virtually advocated the abolition of women in prisons because of the terrible strain and difficulty women had coping with imprisonment compared with men. Now, where has leftist progressivism and feminism gone then? We know women find it extraordinarily hard, that the potential suicide rates are higher, that the separation from children is brutal and in nobody's interest, especially if a crime is not criminal. If the mother, the woman in prison, is no threat to the community, which quite clearly Lucy wasn't. So at every level, this is sort of barbaric. I think Ezra mentioned in his report about Tommy this morning and his release about Berier's Russia. But really, as you said in your start, we're getting very like that. Any innate sense of decent justice seems to be rapidly disappearing from this country.
And Ezra, look, of course, we are going to talk about the good news regarding Tommy Robinson in just one moment. But how shocking is it for you to see Lucy Connolly remain behind bars for one tweet, which she deleted within hours?
It doesn't sound like good law. And my sympathies go out to Lucy and to Raymond. I think that most Canadians and Americans would be very surprised to hear that. I think when JD Vance raised the matter of freedom of speech with Keir Starmer, I think that might have caught Keir Starmer off guard. But the actual surprise is to the rest of the world, because we all look to the United Kingdom as the home of freedom of speech, as the place where our civil liberties came from, the Magna Carta, from Areopagitica and John Milton, and so many of the freedoms that have spread throughout the Anglosphere. And we look, well, what's happening to the mother country? I can't think of an analogy in North America of someone spending 31 months in prison because of a tweet that was quickly deleted. And sure, the tweet was rough around the edges, but it's just an astonishingly disproportionate punishment.
No, it really was. And Raymond, I mean, look, we sat, didn't we, with Alison Pearson side by side in that courtroom last week and watched Lucy's emotional and powerful and very honest evidence. But I think, Raymond, probably the thing that I want to point out to people the most, because it really matters, is that Lucy posted that tweet on the actual day of the Southport massacre. When you arrived home to your home, Raymond, she was barricaded in the house because she was so distraught about what had happened to those children. It took her back to that terrible moment when you lost your young son as a result of NHS neglect. But what people are not missing, including the justices who made this despicable decision today, is that in the days after Raymond, as violence did erupt around the country, I mean, I call them so-called riots because they were definitely infiltrated and they were used by the state. But let's just put that to one side. When violence did erupt around the country, Lucy posted multiple times condemning it. She was not encouraging violence for a single second, and that has just been ignored by the judges.
Oh yeah, definitely. I was trying to even see if I could get the phone back at one point from the police, because I wanted that as evidence in many years to come, but the police had destroyed the phone, so I never managed to get a new phone back either. But yeah, I came home from work. I couldn't get in the house. She was with all the kids. She was obviously very upset. I didn't know it. She'd done that tweet that evening until about 8 days later, when it all came upon over the internet. But yeah, she was pretty upset and pretty much scared. But it's just an awful time for her.
So Raymond, how many more months are you expecting Lucy to stay behind bars? And what is the plan? Like, I know the Free Speech Union is supporting you. Is it possible to take this to the Supreme Court, or will you just not have time?
Well, we've got I think it's 3 months. It is. Lucy can apply for I think other rottles, but it just again, I go back to the political prisoner. Girls had put in for those rottles, and they'd get a response quite quickly back, whereas Lucy would have to wait 2, sometimes 3 weeks before being told it's being rejected. So that's when Lucy thought, why is everything I do being delayed? So that's when she started thinking, and me as well, somebody else making that call, not the prison governors and the prison probation teams.
Okay. Well, look, Raymond, you know we're going to stay in touch. You know I've been with you on this since day one. You've been incredibly brave. It's despicable, this decision today. But we've done our job in the sense that the world is talking about Lucy. And I know she was upset today, but when I spoke to her last week, the point that I made, and I know this can sometimes be a difficult thing to say, but there will be something positive to emerge from this case. Thank you so much for watching Dan Wootton Outspoken. Please click on my face just to the bottom left to subscribe to this brand new independent news source and turn on the notification bell so you'll be alerted to our brand new live shows, uncancelled interviews, and special royal episodes. Outspoken is also now available as a podcast, so you can listen to the show every weekday on the go, wherever you are.